All right, we're back. Welcome back, everybody. We're running a couple minutes late here. It's been a very busy day. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to make it tonight. Had a busy shoot day, a shoot that I haven't done in a while today, so felt good. Came home, cut the grass. Gregory, Raphael, Rob, Hal, Pete. What's going on, everybody? Good to see everybody here. Yeah, if you cut to the overhead camera, my desk is cluttered right now. It is full of camera gear, film, everything. Basically had to unpack my Pelican, where I keep most of my cameras I regularly use, and basically had to pack out everything for a photo and video shoot today. So yeah, need to put everything back together now that I'm back. Benji, what's going on? Scott, Nadav, afternoon. Matt looked busy by your stories. Yes, it was a really good shoot. I used to do a lot more corporate kind of gigs, like filming stuff for doctors' offices, insurance places, realtors, like that kind of stuff. And the last time I worked with the physician that we were shooting with today, the last time we filmed with her was 8 years ago, and she's still using the videos, and I hadn't seen them in so long, and she pulled them up today and they still looked great. So I was happy that she's gotten that many years of use out of those videos. So we got to update some stuff today, and yeah, it was just fun. I realize how much I miss working with people and not just me doing my own thing here. I don't know. It's isolating at times when you're self-employed in any way, I think, and super isolating. And getting to work with people is always a nice reminder of that's what it feels like to, I don't know. Most of the time I just get so, I was telling Molly about it. It's been so long since I've done work like that I didn't really get too nervous today. I thought I was going to have more anxiety about it just because it's been a while since I've done a job like that. But it was just fun the whole time. So I definitely want to get back into doing more stuff like that. One, because money. Everything is insanely expensive right now. And I kind of just want to find other ways to make income as well, outside of just YouTube and sponsors and selling my work itself. I've missed working with people, so probably going to get back into that more often. I would like to anyway. Matthew, what's going on? Remo, good to see you. Gregory, I don't like people. I feel like that until I'm around people, and then I'm like, no, I just don't like some people. People can be really ugly in the modern world, especially here in America. Shout out America. That's the thing. I'm not gonna get too far into it. I mean, what a circus it is right now. But I love this place. I want it to be better. That's all it is. So, all my film went everywhere. I can tolerate people in small doses at times. Yeah. I mean, that's fair. I probably would get. I mean, for instance, wedding photographers, people who shoot weddings nonstop, doing every single weekend, multiple weddings every weekend for some people, could never be me. I've got to diversify things as much as I can so that I'm not doing just the one thing. And I thought doing YouTube, focusing on that and not doing weddings or any kind of work and just nose to the grindstone and focusing on that, I thought I would prefer that, but I don't think so. I don't think I'm good at all in on one anything. I've gotta kind of mix things up. How have you thought about portfolio reviews? In terms of like people sending in portfolios to review, we haven't done that. Although I will say I'll explain why I'm like somewhat hesitant to do that. Um, it's useful and it's a helpful and it's a good thing to do. I worry too much about am I the person for that job? You know what I mean? People send in like zines and photo books, and we open them up here and we look at them together. And I can like try to give helpful criticism, constructive criticism in that way. Um, but I don't know. It's that's like if you put something into a zine or a book or prints too. I don't know. It can get really broad with just like a general portfolio review. Um, and I don't want to give bad advice or just ill-informed advice, if that makes sense. I don't know. Um, Definitely an introvert with an extrovert job, photographer. I think that's common. Um, that makes sense. I feel like photography can be a very soul individual kind of thing. That's what's nice about it. At least for me, that's what like I really liked. I didn't play team sports. Um, the idea of a coach telling me what I should be doing, I didn't like the idea of that at all growing up. So sports never appealed to me. But I always liked with photography, I could just take my camera and go, and that's it. So, but as a result of that, photographers often find themselves then taking photos of people. So you're stuck into that, that kind of, I don't know, predicament, I guess, where you're going to have to be social. Tim Butcher finally got on live stream. Good day from Tasmania. Well, thank you for joining us, Tim. I don't know what time it is in Tasmania, but pretty late, pretty maybe early, I should say. Flavio, what's your favorite ice cream if you eat it? I'm eating some ice cream right now, and I was wondering. You know, I've never been real big on ice cream in general. Neapolitan. Classic. You get a little bit of everything in there, and towards the end, you can swirl it all together. It's good stuff. But I'm not real big on ice cream. My kids are, that's for sure. Matter of fact, our neighbor owns an ice cream shop just like half a mile down the road. And so every once in a while when they do their ice cream truck and they've got leftover little pints of ice cream, I get a little grocery bag full of ice cream to throw in the freezer for the kids. So I love living here. Gregory says, I find I'm more extroverted shooting by myself. If I'm with other people, I don't get as social. Yeah, I get that. 11 a.m. on Thursday. Well, hello from the future, Tim. Oh, Nadav, I missed this. I've been listening to archives for the third round. Any chance of a podcast or something audio we can digest while working in the gym, etc. I was just talking. I hate to do this. I'm gonna try not to chew into the microphone right away, but my mouth is super dry, and I don't think I brought my water bottle out here. I'm probably gonna need to run in and grab a drink in a minute. Okay. I was talking about it today. I miss doing a podcast. Doing a solo podcast, sometimes I think would be manageable, but then I also think, I don't know. I don't know if I have enough to say. If I did a podcast that was solely answering questions and there were a steady influx of questions every single week, if you all can promise that, because that's the thing. If you leave it up to me, I'm going to go, people don't want to hear that. People don't want to hear that. I'm way too neurotic. If I have people saying, Matt, answer this question, that's great. That's all I need. Like, tell me what you want me to hear, or tell me what you want to hear, or what you want me to say or talk about, and I can go much better off of that. So if we can, like, figure out a way, whether it just be maybe something on YouTube or just emailing, I don't know, a place for people to submit questions. I should make a Discord for that. That's what I should do. But a place where people could submit questions that I could do in a podcast, that would be something. Yeah, see, Rob says, this is the best podcast, why change format? That's how I've kind of felt, where I'm like, if I had a podcast, it would probably just be, here's what's been going on this week, here's what I've been up to, answering questions if I can. And that's kind of what this live stream is. So I don't know. We'll see. Discord would be cool. Okay, you guys like that idea? Let's do it. Yeah, Rob says, like I mentioned before, Substack. That is another thing I really need to do. Yeah. It's been, I don't know. That's one of those things that I've wanted to do for a long time, but it's one of those things that I've just thought, as soon as I get around to it, I will. It is extremely challenging to find the time to set up and create and make all of these, like, new things. I feel like I was so focused on that for so many years on social media and, like, growing and posting things and the YouTube channel and Instagram and all of that. And then once, not necessarily when the channel got to a certain point, but when life got to a certain point and my day-to-day is just so much more family, caregiving, that kind of thing. All of the other stuff is so little that I'm like, when I get around to it. I'm going to be a photographer for the rest of my life, and I don't know what social media or anything is going to be looking like in the next 10, 20 years. But I'm always going to be doing photography. I'm always going to share it in some way, so there have been many things that I've just thought, if it's still around, when I have time, I'll get to it. But a Discord would be sweet because the live streams we've talked about it a little bit. It's made much more of that, like, community feel where I'm interacting with the same people every week. It just feels good. So Discord would be helpful for that. And, but the live streams, like hanging out like this, I agree, but I personally like listening to audio while working. I totally get that, Nadav. I have specific podcasts that I listen to when I'm mowing. I'm usually listening to music if I'm working out, but if I'm mowing, I'm usually listening to a podcast, or if I'm in here making prints or something and I'm not really, like, needing to be, watching anything. So I totally get that, but we'll see. Try to make something happen. No promises, but I will try. Peter, howdy from Canada. Good to see you here. Oh, hell yeah. Pete says, and you can have a barbecue feed as well for recipes. That is one thing I need to do in the near future is, one, I want to make another a channel just for barbecue stuff and just sharing recipes on the grill because it's so much fun. And I kind of have, like, a little bit of hesitancy because I'm not hesitancy like I shouldn't do it. It's just that I know, like, photographers can be so dickish about if you're not doing something the way they do it or the way that they were taught. And so I know cooking, grilling, anything like that. Plus I use a pellet grill, and I know a bunch of barbecue bros are going to be like, it's not a real pit, bro. So I don't know. Those kind of people ruin any hobby, any subculture, any niche, anything. Those are the kind of people that usually ruin it and take away most of the fun. And I really just like making food and making food for people. Like, I like eating it, but I'm not a foodie, you know? If I wasn't making food for anyone else, I probably wouldn't cook anything on the grill because I don't care that much. I'd eat a bowl of cereal and be just as happy. But everyone loves the barbecue, so that's like the fun aspect of it. Um, so I've thought about making a channel for that. Although Elliot did ask me, like a week ago or 2 weeks ago, he asked if we could start a YouTube channel for gaming, and I told him we could because he really wants to. So that's gonna happen. I don't know exactly what it's gonna look like or when we're gonna make the first video, but he is dead set on he and I making a video together where we're playing video games together and talking about video games. So that's gonna be fun. So eventually, that will be out and in the world. I appreciate that, Nadav. He says, dude, we're here for your version of life. Hey, Brian, good to see you. Too hot to barbecue. Yeah, you're telling me. I was sweating my ass off earlier mowing, and I didn't even get to finish it. My mower runs on batteries, and so it says you could cut like up to 2 acres on those, but after a few years, I think the batteries are like starting to wear a little bit, so I didn't even get to finish it, but I was like, I don't care. I'm done for the night. I'll cut the rest tomorrow. I got the whole front half and everything else, but what was I saying? Oh yeah, Nadav's comment, here for your version of life. That's the thing that like I really enjoy about other people's YouTube channels, Instagrams, anything that I follow. I just like seeing their anything, not a specific thing. And it's weird that I still have a hard time doing that myself. Like, I have a hard time trusting that other people will watch the same reason I would watch someone else. So I've gotten better about it this year. Like, I've tried to open up a little bit more. The live streams help. We've talked about that. But yeah, it's weird. I don't know. After 11 years on this channel, it feels weird to like put up videos that exist in the same place as older videos that don't even feel like me anymore, if that makes sense. I don't know. Eddie, what's going on, man? He says totally down for a gaming channel. Yeah, we're gonna have to make that happen in the near future because Elliot is dead set on getting a Switch 2. And I told him we're gonna have to wait until we can find one, but also they're pretty expensive. And so eventually we're gonna try and find a Switch 2, and when we do, we'll make a video about that, and we might honestly start with that and kind of start with the Switch 2 and games on that system. I don't know. We'll see. But Elliot loves everything. Elliot plays Sega Genesis games. Yesterday, he wanted me to play Golden Axe with him on the Genesis. He has a Raspberry Pi with like all of the old systems, and as an 8-year-old, it's awesome to see him playing stuff that was on the NES and the Master System and everything, you know, since then. So that's been fun. Hell yeah, I appreciate that, Nadav. Niece, thank you. It needs washed right now. It's been pulled up and sweating all day, so I feel like I look like a grease ball, but I appreciate that. Yes, that is a Ubiquity Wi-Fi thing back there, Anthony. The only reason, shout out to Matt Seal, he's the one who told me what to get. I told him I needed Wi-Fi, and he was like, I got you. I know exactly what you need. I don't know anything about it. I helped Carl get it set up out here, but that's about it. I appreciate that, Javier. He says, hey, Matt, I don't know what we're talking about, but there are no bad versions of you. Keep doing your thing. I really appreciate that. We're just shooting the shit, talking about sharing more than just photography stuff online and how I often think no one cares, no one wants to see that, no one, you know, whatever. So yeah, I appreciate that. That's encouraging. This has been a challenging month mentally for me when it comes to filming. Um, I have tried to start filming 2 different videos, and I was just like not in the right headspace for it. Uh, so now I'm gonna be down to the wire probably on deadlines on like finishing these videos for sponsorships each month. But that's how it works. That's how I make a living. So it's probably going to be crammed end of the month on these few videos. Just been a lot of stuff going on, and I don't know. Today was helpful. Like filming other people going to a physician's office for a job and them talking to the camera and watching them go through that process of like, what am I trying to say? I just lost my train of thought. Da 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 da. Like that kind of stuff, I get so frustrated with when I'm trying to film, and I get way in my head, where I just talk myself out of it. Where I'm like, dude, you're washed today. Like, just hang it up. You're done. So to see other people, not to see other people, messing up, that I thought that was cool, but like just seeing people are people. I'm not the only one who has a hard time talking to the camera sometimes. Being around people, again, when you're not by yourself 24/7, it puts a lot into perspective, so that's another reason I think I need to get back to doing more work like that. Yes, he is, Anthony. Matt is a true friend. I haven't had any issues with the Wi-Fi out here. It's been great, so I definitely love that thing. Peter, I believe you were looking for important, interesting books to review. Might I suggest Robert Burley, Disappearance of Darkness, Photography at the End of the Analog Era? I will check that out. It says another one is a book by my friend Raphael Goldchain, I Am My Family. An incredible project where Raphael is made up as family members, those that have passed, and shot self-portraits with an 8x10. Oh, wow. That sounds wild. I'll look into those. Peter, I appreciate the recommendation. We, speaking of books, I've cleared quite a bit of, not quite a bit of space. You can see there's still a lot of books back there. But I sold probably at least a dozen books over the last few days. So shout out to any of you if you bought any of those books. There were plenty of people that I know here on the stream, and just people who watch the videos in general, that bought some of the books. I still have 4 Steinmetz books, but I sold the South Trilogy. I sold Carnival. And I sold Rivers and Towns. So I sold, really, that's 3, but the South Trilogy, that's 3 books in itself. So 5 Steinmetz books went out the door. It is what it is. Some of the books have really gone up in value, and it makes some of those really tempting to let go of, because I'm like, I've had my time with them. That money could sit here on the shelf for the rest of time, or we could get some more groceries, we could do this. Like, real life expenses changes everything. So and it feels like the real life expenses only add up more and more the older my children get. Football started for Elliot last night, so we got football practice twice a week now. So that's going to take up a decent amount of my evenings as well. So photography, finding the time for it. I'm getting like scheduled photography time these days, which isn't a bad thing. I kind of like the intentional aspect of it. If I'm left to like my own free schedule, I don't know. Again, I work well on structure and direction, I think. So having like specific times where I know that's my window, that's actually been helpful. Travis, one thing to remember is that your loyal viewers have been changing and growing over the years too. You might not love your old videos, but we appreciate seeing the progression. I appreciate that, Travis. That's genuinely helpful to hear because I've thought about doing a video where I go back and like watch older videos of mine and like react to it, or just more so see have my opinions or thoughts changed. Like, is there anything in any old videos where I say, I used to think that way, now I don't? I think that might be fun just to kind of show that progression and change, and to show, I think that that's like a normal thing when people, because I have gotten that comment before where people are like, started watching way back when, but you're not the same person, you changed, you this, you that. Basically being like, hey, I'm out, I'm unsubscribing, like one of those kind of comments, which is fine. You know, I don't expect anybody. The fact that I've kept anyone's attention long enough for one video, let alone a whole year or multiple years, it's amazing. That's a miracle in itself. But it is one of those things where I'm like, I wonder about that. Like, I wonder the idea of how I'm being perceived by people. That's always in my mind, and I try to just be myself, and, you know, whatever happens, happens. But I'm very conscious of stuff like that, and I've had people meet me in person and like give me film. Someone gave me some expired film once, and I didn't make a post about them. I didn't like post about them giving me the film on Instagram. I didn't give them a shout out, they said. And so they sent me a big long thing. It was like, I came and met you and da 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 da, and you didn't give a shit that you didn't post anything, no tagging, no shout out. And I was like, you brought me film and just gave me the film, and I didn't, you know. It's like little things like that stick with me where I'm like, that's, I don't know. And that's an isolated incident, but it's just one of those things where I'm like, maybe I should just keep to myself and like not put myself out there. You know what I mean? When little things like that happen, it's just like, why? But again, it's a very small percentage of it. But I think about that all the time. Like, now that I have changed, I think like, well, I wonder what if someone saw a video of mine years ago and they made their impression and they're like, I don't like this person because XYZ, what would they think now? Or vice versa, you know? It's just one of those things. I don't know. It's weird. This is all like inside baseball stuff, but you guys are the only ones I feel like I can talk about it with, because I don't know, you guys are here and you get it, I think. So, oh hell yeah. Oh, my wife's in the chat. I didn't see that, Molly. If you're still watching, love you, honey. There's a book called Daily Rituals that has a ton of different artists' daily routines. It's great to occasionally reference and see how strict and dedicated to routine some artists are. Seth, that sounds amazing. I'm going to have to look at that, or look for that book, because that sounds like something I would really be into. I enjoy seeing that kind of stuff, like learning other people's like routines or how they go about the mundane stuff. That excites me. Three Fates Live says Matt Day. What's up, dog? The guy who gave you the expired film was missing the point of giving. Okay, see, yeah, exactly, Jim. That was my thought. Was like, well, I didn't ask for it, but I said thank you in person, but that's not obviously enough. John Duke says, bring back What's Up, guys, Matt Day here. It's funny that like, what's up, Great Vanzini? Good to see you. It is funny how, like, I started saying that just because, like, that was, I felt like I needed to have that, you know what I mean? Because, like, when I started the channel, I didn't know, like, this 2014, it's like, that's what, I just thought I had to have a thing to say every time. But then once I, like, did, even though people would, like, comment on it, and, like, you know, it was a thing, I stopped doing it at one point, probably just because I'm too stubborn, and was like, well, I don't know. It's one of those things. I drive myself crazy. I think someone the other day said something along the lines of like, my favorite work of yours is your black and white film photography. And like literally just the second I read that, I was like, well, now I don't want to shoot any film for the rest of the year. And I don't know what that is, like what that trait says about me. Um, but it's like when people expect a specific thing from me or only want something from me, then I'm like, well, then you're not going to get that. And I don't mean to be that way, because it was a compliment. They were saying it in a really nice way. And I told them thank you, but it was just like instantly I was like, damn, maybe I should work on other stuff then. If that's my best stuff, what am I not good at? How can, you know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense at all, but Cam, what's up, brother? Zam, hair's looking zesty, brother. Good to see you, Cam. It is getting long. It is getting long. Yeah, no one wants to be pigeonholed. That's right. I think that probably is it. It's like I have this weird chip on my shoulder where I'm like, I can do more than black and white film of trees and power lines. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, yeah, it's one of those things. My wife is the same way though. She'd be the first to tell you. She always said, like, if her parents growing up, if her parents told her to do anything, it was like, well, now I'm definitely not gonna do it, you know? I was always that way with like peer pressure. Peer pressure worked exact opposite on me. If all of my friends were really, really trying to get me to do something, I was digging my heels in even harder. Like, I hate roller coasters. I don't mess with them at all. And all of my friends growing up, always going to Kings Island all the time. And I never went. Dude, just come on. Come on. No. Hey, no. I'm not going to do that. It was, I don't know. I don't want to do it. And if you want me to do it that bad, now I'm definitely not going to do it. I'm going to sit down and I ain't moving. Charles, what's going on, man? Oh, hey, don't sweat it, man. Don't sweat it. No rush on the books. Hey, Molly is still here. Hi, honey. She says we are a nightmare, truly. Yeah, no sweat on no rush on the books, Charles. I didn't even make it to the post office since last week's live stream. I've gone to the post office to ship books, but I go to the post office closer to our house, which is like just down the road. It's a really small one. But my P.O. box is at the main post office in Chillicothe, downtown. And I just haven't been downtown in the past week. Maybe you don't like your past work and you want to do better, but it's all good either way. I think that's in a way. I do feel, to kind of piggyback this on Charles' question as well. Hey, thanks for hanging, Nadav. I appreciate you. To kind of answer the paper mill project as well, that I initially was thinking all black and white edits for that, and since the first video where I shared that, I've since changed my mind on it. Color is such a big part of it that I've started incorporating more color, and I do think these photos have a little bit of a different feel because it is obviously a very different subject matter than I normally shoot. I've never gotten to spend that much time in the paper mill and working on something like that, and the color changes it. I think working digitally changes it as well because I shot so much more than I would have. Even if it was black and white 35 millimeter film, there is no way I would have shot as much as I did with the Z8. It's a trade-off. Like, I love developing, I love the look of black and white film. I do love developing it when I don't have anything else going on and I, have all the time in the world, but when is that? So, the immediacy and the speed and everything, the frictionless workflow of digital has been really nice for this. The paper mill project in general, like I'm just about done with my first like hard round of like culling and basically getting rid of anything that's not at least considerable. I'm not making any hard decisions right away, but I am trying to like whittle it down somewhat and then take those select photos, share them with a few friends, and just get some feedback. And then try and start putting something together in terms of like sequencing things for a zine or book or something. But I don't know. Oh, AJ's here, the House of Masks. Hello, Matt. I can't figure out how to delete clips in Final Cut Pro. Can you please help me? So, AJ, real quick. Hold on. Tim, what's up? Hi, Matt. Longtime viewer, first time live. As a fellow FM2 user, you'll have to let us know if you've been seduced by a used Nikon DF like I have. So, I haven't tried the DF, but I have tried the ZF, and I am curious about the ZF. As much as I love an optical viewfinder, the fact that I have Z lenses for my Z8 makes me more likely to get the ZF over the DF. Also because I just really appreciate mirrorless for a lot of its benefits. But the DF does look rad. I remember when it came out, I thought it was really sick. But yeah, AJ, the other day, he finally got Final Cut Pro. And I told him, I was like, yeah, it's what I've been using for the last few years because I was tired of, actually, it's been like 5 or 6 years now. I was tired of Premiere Pro crashing every time I did anything. So I started using Final Cut then. I told AJ too. Finally got it. And the other day he's like, I can't delete a clip, dude. This makes no sense. Why? I right click, I look for all of it. There's no delete anything. And I was like, yeah, just hit delete. He's like, that's what I'm saying. There is no delete button. And I was like, hit delete. Hit the key that says delete. You don't have to right click and open up a menu to just hit. He was like, oh, that's how. So yeah. Yeah, who needs Google when you got my number? That's exactly how it is. Love you, AJ. Appreciate you sharing story about Duda gave you film. It's people like that which made me reluctant to reach out to people like yourself. For fear y'all will think I have a hidden agenda. But see, no, that's the thing. That's me. Like, it's funny you say that because that is why I'm hesitant to ever speak up about any sort of like negative reaction, is because I don't want people to think not to talk to me or reach out. You know what I mean? Like, which I haven't been to anything in a couple years, probably since, or well, no, the one in Columbus last year, there was a big film photographer like meetup thing. I don't go to those things often just because I don't have the time or schedule to go to them all the time or travel to different places to go. But when I do get a chance to go to those things, I try and talk to literally everybody because it's like, that's why I go. It's to meet people, you know? That's why I started the channel, to share with people like us, you know? But I understand your comment though, because there are people who do have agendas with things. And I hate that. I hate that I have to like vet emails or DMs or anything like that with that sense of like, because more often than not, it's just people reaching out being kind. But I've had enough interactions with people who did have an agenda where I've just felt like, dude, I'm just trying to like talk to people. I'm trying to be a person, not a platform. Does that make sense? I don't know if I should say it. Mike Jones, back then they didn't want me. Now I'm hot. Who's all on me? Is that the lyric? Let's just say I've pitched the idea of like, hey, let's do something together to people before on the channel, and they were like, nah, it's not really our thing. And then I kept going, and then the channel grew, and they were like, hey, let's talk. Let's link and build, you know? There was stuff like that where I was just like, all right, take a hike. No thanks. So there's little stuff like that, you know, just leaves a sour taste in my mouth sometimes. AJ, yeah. You and Nick Carver are probably on two photo channels I return to reliably. And most people get me and Nick Carver mixed up, Travis, so that's funny. Uh, yeah, I appreciate that, though. Nick's a super nice guy. The great Vanzini. I love my DF, therefore I never use it. Yeah. Oh yeah, Molly says, remember when AJ and Ben couldn't figure out how to use a mic and it wasn't plugged in? That's true. They called me and they were like, "What are we doing wrong? Mic's not working, man. You sold me a bad mic." That's probably what they were thinking because they were using the mics that I think they bought from me. And they just had the mic input plugged into the headphone input. Hey, we've all been there, right, guys? Paulie B, what's up, brother? Mike Jones. Who? You guys do kind of look like brothers. For real, yeah. And it's funny too because people said that years ago when we both had short hair, and then like he and I, without obviously coordinating it, both grew our hair out at the same time. So now we still are getting that. Trev Lee is the other one though. Trev's bald though. He told me to buzz my head just so we could be twins, and I told him instead that he should just grow his hair out. I don't think he appreciated that. Love you, Trev. I always have a slight skepticism towards people's intentions, but go in with trust until proven otherwise. And that's how it should be, Matthew. That's how it should be. You should have give people the benefit of the doubt. And I genuinely do, or generally do. It's just every once in a while that little bit of doubt kind of creeps in. Yeah. Yeah, me, Trev Lee, and Nick. Oh yeah, Kyle McDougal. He's super nice guy. Kyle, I've never got to hang out with in person, but have spoken to him privately plenty of times. Always just a genuinely super nice dude. As well as Polly. If Polly's still here, Polly's one of the best. I really haven't had that's the thing with other people on YouTube or photographers. I haven't met everybody obviously, and some people I've only hung out with a handful of times, but I really haven't had any bad interactions with people who actually have channels. You know what I mean? It's always been just, I don't know. Maybe in the I guess it's probably just in the film world. There's a lot more photography channels that cover specifically digital stuff and all the new cameras all the time. That seems like a toxic place that I do not want to be in. Sometimes I think I should get over any sort of personal preference on cameras and new cameras coming out, and even though I'm not excited about new cameras, it's why don't I just talk about them anyway and share the information, because that's what gets views. But I genuinely can't bring myself to do that. It seems like with each passing year, I'm less and less interested in talking about new cameras that are coming out, and it feels like it just never ends. So if you do talk about any new camera, within a month or two, there's already something else that's coming out that people are well, now compare it to this, and it feels like it never ends. And the more you focus on that, on what camera to buy and what lens to buy, obviously make informed purchases, do your research. It's good that there is information on cameras for anyone who wants to learn or make their choice. But if you look on Threads, all I see on Threads is people comparing cameras and arguing over cameras, and this camera does this, and why would you buy that one when you could buy this? And it's just super boring, and I'd rather cut the grass than talk about that. Cam says, yeah, it's incredibly toxic and exhausting. Past couple of months, I've had to create some boundaries, as you should. Um, I feel like I don't know. People get so heated over that stuff. And especially for people who just make videos, it's like, that's the thing. Most of the people, at least that I've seen, or at least that I watch on YouTube, it's like they're making videos just sharing their perspective. They're not the ones saying, buy this, don't buy this. Like, if anyone says that in a video, if they're like, you need to buy this camera, not this camera, that's when I immediately would tune out, because it's like, that's not what it's about. I don't know. Again, cameras are going to have different strengths than others, so some cameras are going to be better for other people depending on what their uses are. But I don't know, telling anybody what they should or shouldn't be doing with their own money is that's weird. Yeah, exactly, Seth. Says the more you're worrying about what camera you're shooting is the less you're shooting. That's exactly it. Oh, wow. That's interesting, Peter. I appreciate that. Um, I have been looking into, or I've been trying to think or find of different projects on any sort of like manufacturing like that, just to get an idea of how it was approached, maybe. Um, because as far as I know, I'm not getting back inside the mill. As far as I know, I am officially done shooting for it now. Um, Shooting the exterior itself, if I add any new photos there, that could be it. But um, I think I'm done in there. So now that I kind of have that done, and I don't have, I guess, the way to be influenced and like shooting a certain way because of what I saw. Like, that's the kind of thing that I get really hesitant about, where if I'm shooting something or if I'm trying to like put something together, I try not to look at too much photography because I don't want it to influence it too much. Um, so now that I'm kind of done shooting, I've kind of been more interested in looking into stuff like that, if that makes sense. Oh, hell yeah. I haven't picked that one up yet, Charles, but Matt Sharkey's book, American Denim, I do have that on my list. There's that one. Ian Bates, The Weight of Ash. It's a new book coming out by Deadbeat Club that looks really good. 12 Acres by Henry O'Head or by Trespasser. Um, Dang, I feel like there was another one I just saw on the BPS newsletter. I feel like there was a third or fourth book in there that I was looking at. But American Denim is one that I want to pick up. Um, yeah, for sure. Um, hey, Blue Laugh, what's up? Good to see you. Spider, what's going on? Oh yeah, the Great Vanzini says, I find I'm watching channels that review really old digital cameras. That is kind of a fun, like, Molly and I were talking about it the other day. A lot of the old digital point and shoots have really come back. And sometimes I like think it would be fun, but the image quality, the nostalgia, I get it, but I don't want to limit myself to like 4 megapixels. You know what I mean? So I haven't found myself using an old digital point and shoot like the people are these days. But uh, speaking of that, Molly is trying to buy, not right now. Uh, we'll wait till she's back to work. But she's wanting to pick up a Ricoh GR3X because she wants a point and shoot, but 28 is wide for her as well. So I told her about the GR3X having a 40 millimeter equivalent, and she seems super into that. So I'm gonna try to find one of those sometime, maybe fall. Try and find a GR3X. I've never used, or sorry, I've never owned any of the Ricos. I think it might have been Polly's actually. When we were in Atlanta, I think I took a few photos with his Rico, just trying it out. I think he had just gotten it not too long before that, if I remember right. Um, but just having something small to take photos with the family, and something digital as well, because she used to have a Nikon FG, I think, or maybe it was an FE. I can't remember, but that was years and years ago. And then she had an X100 for a while, but once Forrest was born, that's kind of how it's always gone. It's like she'd use one of the cameras, but then you have a baby, and then that baby's literally attached to you for for quite a while, especially our kids. So, oh yeah, 1 month, two cameras for the old digicams. Yeah, she's got a. That's another person. I'm blanking on her name now. But 1 month, two cameras. I got to meet her for the first time in Atlanta a couple of years ago, and super, super sweet. But yeah, she's got a great channel as well. Not a photo book, but I've got a copy of Last Days of the Mill by Pete Hay and Tony Thorne about the closure of the paper mill at Burnie here in Tasmania. That's oddly similar to what I'm doing, like wildly. That's crazy. Last Days of the Mill. Okay, I'm gonna search this up real quick. What was the name on that again? Pete Hay. Searching that up right now so I don't forget. Boom. Sick. All right, got it pulled up. I appreciate that. Thank you for the heads up, Tim. Oh, you can send it. The postage from Tasmania would probably be pretty expensive, so I'm not going to ask you to do that just yet. Let me see if I can find a copy, because international shipping these days is, at least from here to there, it would be. I don't know what it would be to cost from there to here, but international postage is crazy right now. So hang tight. I'll see if I can find a copy, but I appreciate the heads up on that one, Tim. Oh, yeah. Do you think, Seth, do you think they'll make an X of the GR4? Um, that's interesting. I guess I hadn't really thought. I mean, it would make sense, but um, I guess, like, do we have confirmation of that? Do we know that a GR3X is coming? If so, or sorry, GR4X. Um, I mean, if so, that would make sense, because I know there have been issues with the 3 that supposedly were addressed in the 4. I don't know too much about the cameras. I remember Samuel Streetlife, the Rico channel, I'll say. I watched his video when it came out, because I knew it was like, all right, it's finally out. People have been waiting, and I knew he would be the one to go to for that. So I remember watching his video, and he seemed hyped on pretty much everything that they had done. So that's how it is for me with YouTube. It's like, I know that dude has been using those cameras for years. I trust his input on it, since I've never really used them. I know I can go to him and get, get an honest take on it. Yeah, that makes sense. Seth says, I'm just speculating. I'm just speculating because of how popular the 40 millimeter seems to be. I'm really glad that it is popular, because, I mean, the Q3 43, I don't have the money for that camera, but when I got to try it out before it was released, instantly I was like, if I could justify it, this would be the camera I would buy. I've never bought any of the Q cameras, and I've never even been tempted to, because the 28 is just not for me, even though you can crop because of the resolution and yada yada yada. It's just too wide for me. Like, 35 is as wide as I want to go most of the time, unless I'm going with like a fisheye. And so the 43 millimeter equivalent on the Q3, when I tried that out, I was like, this, I would literally carry this with me every single day and be perfectly content. That lens is also insane, like one of the nicest lenses I've ever used, and it's just married to that camera. So that's the only way to get it. Hey, Alex, what's up? Says, sup, Matt, chiming in as a new YouTube creator. Unfortunately, the algo favors gear because it supports the ecosystem, so it's necessary to pepper some gear stuff in so that someone sees your channel. Oh, absolutely. And that's the thing. I totally get that. Like, I mean, I still make videos about cameras. You know what I mean? I try to do it in a way that feels like either useful or practical information, I guess. Like, I don't want to try to sell a camera to anybody. I don't want to try to tell someone like why they should get this camera. Like, that's not what I'm interested in. I want to try and explain how I use it so that if anyone else is interested in it, they can take that experience and thoughts and everything and somehow help form their own idea of how it might be useful for their specific needs. Like, that's it. So one of the videos actually for this month is a video kind of just on the Nikon Z system as a whole. Just kind of sharing all of my thoughts on using it for both photo and video for the last 9, almost 10 months now. Using the Z8, I've also been borrowing the Z6 III for a month or so now. It's going back in a few weeks to Nikon. So I want to just kind of share all of my thoughts, good and bad, on the Nikon Z system for my use cases. I've shot one wedding, some corporate gigs, documentary stuff, like event coverage, a lot of different kinds of uses, studio work. It's gotten a lot of different uses. And so I found things that I really, really love and other things that I really dislike about the Z system. And no camera is perfect. It's not about here's, you know, I don't know. There's so many definitive, like, hard stance camera videos, you know what I mean? Where it's like, I don't know. It's just again, the way the algorithm works. And I've been doing this a long time, and I've made so many videos about cameras. And I have covered new cameras as they've come out. So it's not against anything, or I'm not against anything like that. It's just I feel less compelled to do it, probably because I've done it enough times. That's probably the big reason, is just I'm tired of it, maybe. But I do think it's gotten worse on YouTube in terms of, like, the amount that people really lose their shit over cameras. Like, people having really big feelings about any new camera that comes out, good or bad. Mostly bad. It's the loud, the negative reaction is often the loudest. So it just seems like it gets way out of hand these days and way overblown. And also the discourse online about YouTubers or influencers and, like, people, the idea of, like, YouTuber, real photographer. Like, it's one or the other. Pick a lane. You know what I mean? Which has never made sense to me. Because who gives a shit, really? Like, anyone can start a YouTube channel. Alex Soth has a YouTube channel, so not putting me and him in the same field, obviously, but, like, I say that to say someone who I genuinely look up to has a YouTube channel, who has given me compliments on my own YouTube channel, who has been on my own YouTube channel. So it's like, I don't really, I've never understood that. But the discourse online is so much more prevalent, which, to be fair, I'm sure there are people who don't have, I guess, the amount of experience maybe that they claim to have or are portraying to have. Like, of course, there's always going to be exceptions to it, but the way people just lump everybody in with it, if you have a YouTube channel, or if you have a YouTube channel of a certain subscriber count, it's like if you've passed 100,000, well, now you're part of the system. You can't be trusted. You know what I mean? People get really weird and like tribal about about photography and brands in general, but also about that kind of stuff. I don't know. It's really, really weird. Yeah, Corey, exactly. Threads just amplifies all of it, without a doubt. I feel that anyone with a camera calls themselves a photographer, but do they take a nice picture or let the camera do it all? Yeah, I get what you're saying. I mean, I think nowadays that line of like, do you have what it requires to call yourself a photographer? Um, the entry, the barrier to entry is so much lower and it's so much more accessible now, which I think is a good thing. Um, but obviously, with the internet, I've seen I've seen a lot of people very like saying it with their chest, you know, all of their hard stances. And I mean, like Corey said, with Threads, it's like I see stuff on there where it's like real photographers don't do this or real photographers don't do that. Um, who cares? I don't know. It's just there's so much stuff like that now where um, if someone is going out and making photos because they enjoy them and they like to do it, they're a photographer in my book. Doesn't matter if they're not like paid to do it or if they haven't been featured somewhere. Like the day I picked up a camera is the day I started like I was a photographer. You know what I mean? It's not to me it's not like a graduation thing or I think if you're taking someone's guidance or feedback or whatever, you should do that based on their work. I mean, I'm sure there are great teachers that maybe aren't the best photographers or the best whatever the subject may be, but I do believe in like I do hold that how am I trying to say this? If I'm going to listen to someone's feedback on my own work, I first want to not necessarily just to take it into any consideration, but if someone is like, this sucks, this isn't good, this is blah, 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 whatever, I'm for sure going to be curious about what they are doing themselves before I take that to heart. You know what I mean? And most of the time when people say stuff like that, they don't have stuff to share to begin with. It's how it goes. Oh, yeah, exactly. Seth says, there was a fella I knew who claimed you're not a real photographer unless you're paying taxes. Guess he meant that you're making income with it. Don't associate with that guy anymore. That's the thing, yeah. Like, yeah, if you, I don't know, you want to be a photographer, be a photographer. Who gives a shit what if someone else says you're not a real photographer unless you do X, Y, Z? Again, even if that person has a great portfolio, they can think that all they want. I don't care. You know, the guy or gal that's walking and taking a walk with their camera and taking a photo of the flowers on their walk and some birds they saw, they can call themselves a photographer any day of the week. It's not going to cause me any, loss of sleep. Sometimes people like to Hey, that's gatekeep. That's an actual meaning of the word gatekeeping. That term gets thrown around a lot online and sometimes doesn't even make sense, but um, there is that aspect of it where it's like, no, 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 you haven't paid your dues yet to call yourself a photographer. Pay your dues before you start charging people for money. That. Call yourself a professional photographer. Pay some dues then. If you call yourself a photographer, you pick up a camera and you take some photos, there you go, you did it. You're part of the club now. Welcome. We're all doing it, you know? Yeah, straight up. Measuring everything monetarily is always a red flag. Bingo. No capitalist found at all. I love it. Teacher told me if you have a camera, you're a photographer, but if you're a professional photographer, that's how you make a living. Yeah, exactly. Right there. Gregory says, I've never made one penny with my photography, and there is nothing about that that makes it any less than. Like, I have said many times, I have traded my, like, uh, precious, pure, like, unmessed with love that is photography, and I have attached it to making a living, for better or worse. Like, I traded off the idea of like never stressing about it, and like every time I pick up a camera it's solely for me and me alone. I have given that up in exchange for surrounding myself with photography, being immersed in the world of photography 24/7, so that I can take photos for a living, I can make videos like this and share for a living. Like, I've traded all of that, and maybe on my deathbed one day I'll look back and be able to decide if I would have done it any differently. But I don't, at this point in time, I'm like, I know I have caused myself to, I mean, I still love it, so I can't say like I've strained, but I understand that like that has to change it in some way. You know what I mean? Doing it for a living and attaching the income to it, it has to change it in some way. And I still love it, and I've been doing it for a long time. How many years is that? Oh, Jesus. 16 years professionally when I started doing it like for a job. 16. Um, so I know that that has to change like my relationship with photography, or at least I think it does, and I don't know how yet, but um, it is a trade-off. It's not um, it's not always sunshine. You know what I mean? It's a job, just like other jobs, but I recognize I would much rather do that job, even when it feels like a job, than any of the other jobs I've ever had or other jobs that I've thought about getting, you know? And that's not to say I'll never work anything outside of photography, because I think as I get older, I'm more and more likely to just try different things out, especially as the kids get older. Um, but I don't know. For the time being, for the last 16 or so years, it's been all right. Yeah, Goldfinch Recording Company says you can be a world class photographer without being a professional photographer. Vivian Meyer is proof of that. Absolutely. There are so many photographers that, I mean, even like books that we've looked at, there are photographers in there that, sure, their work is in a book and the book is sold and there are ways to like make a living that way, but in terms of like being a photographer for hire, there's so many photographers that never want anything to do with that. um, and again, it's like, it's why I've always said, don't follow in my footsteps, don't do what I do. I try to share my experience because we're all doing the same shit. You know what I mean? It's all universal. Um, so yeah. Um, Do you still feel a sense of wonder when you go to shoot photos, or is it faded but you continue for the sake of self-expression? Not sure if I'm making sense. Absolutely. You totally are making sense. Jalen, what's up? Oh, sick shirt. You like that, Jalen? 98.99 back to back. This is my dad's extra large t-shirt that I found in the closet when we moved here, so it's a little big on me, but threw it on when I got home and needed a fresh change of clothes. It's comfy. What were we talking? Oh, you are making sense though. The sense of wonder, I do still have that, and oftentimes I don't think I still have it until I get out there. What I mean is, I will tell myself I don't feel inspired today, or I don't feel like I'm in the mood today, or whatever it may be. Life, I'm tired. I was up, at 3 a.m. with Nora, and then this and that happened. Like, some days it's just one of those days where I'm like, I just don't have it in me today. But when I force myself to, every time when I go walk, I always get that feeling. Even if I don't see anything necessarily, it still is just that I'm reminded while I'm doing it, not just when I'm like thinking about it. You know what I mean? I really have to be out by myself, camera in hand, and just kind of roaming all over the place. Yeah, that, I don't know if that makes sense. Luis, I appreciate you. Matt, longtime watcher, first time comment on a live stream. Everybody check out Luis's channel as well. What is your relationship with other hobbies like these days? I just started gaming to revamp my creativity when shooting. Love the show. I appreciate you, man. Also, yeah, like I said, everybody check out Luis's channel. Hobbies outside of photography has always been gaming. Have always been like before photography, before skateboarding, before I found anything that like I really connected with. Like I said, I didn't play sports growing up. My brother played every sport imaginable, and I just did not have any interest. My parents never forced it on me. They were just like, you don't have to do it. Just find something that you enjoy, whatever. So photography and skateboarding, when I found those two, they supported that immediately. Paintball, I did get into playing paintball when I was a kid. It wasn't like a whole identity thing like getting a skateboard and a camera was, but I played paintball a lot for a few years with my friends. But yeah, gaming has always been like my thing since I was a little kid. My dad would play Super Nintendo with me and my brother. Like, the earliest memories I have are playing Super Nintendo with my brother and my dad, and then N64 after. They just kept going. My brother had an NES, actually, but by the time I was old enough to play, I was born in 90. Super Nintendo came out in, was it 90 or 91? 90 or 91 maybe? 93? I could be off. Might be 93. Someone can tell me. Either way, I've always played video games. The fact that Elliot does and reminds me so much of me and is just a sponge with like video game trivia like I was, he's entirely my twin. So I still play a lot of games with Elliot. He and I play Fortnite. We played today. I play on the Steam Deck mostly these days because I've always preferred handhelds, or I've just always liked handhelds a lot. And nowadays that's like the only time I get to really play if I'm playing a game by myself. So yeah, lately Stardew Valley, The Last of Us Part 2 I replayed, and I've been doing the no return, like roguelite mode in Last of Us Part 2, which is super fun. Other than that, I've been replaying the Donkey Kong Country 3. I just replayed that one for the first time in a long time, like a week ago. Played through the whole game. Love it. But yeah, other than that, though, video games, that's really my only, like, hobby. The, like, art stuff. Rob, I see. Matt, you've posted drawings a long time ago, right? I did, yes. I there for a while, I like started sketching and was like getting really into it, was having fun. And then my dad died and I got really depressed and just stopped. And then I started again maybe a couple of years ago, and I kind of started messing around with doing like watercolors and like urban sketching, or like not urban sketching, kind of that style, but like I was sketching photos that I had shot, just using photos as reference, and kind of just learning watercolor, and that was fun. But it's always like very, um, what's the word I'm looking for? Very brief. It's very temporary. That's the word I'm looking for. It's always a very temporary thing where I get excited and I'm like, cool, this is a fun new thing. ADHD. I get into it for a minute, have fun, and then I'm like, all right, cool. I'll pick that back up whenever I need a break from photography. And that's really it, I think. I pick up stuff to kind of balance out the photography side a little bit, and it kind of comes in waves. So, but yeah, I haven't posted any in a while. I haven't done any in a while. Hell yeah. Paintball was the best. Why do you gravitate towards black and white over color? Something about when I was a kid, like, I don't know, since I was younger, I've always enjoyed black and white. I did a photography project for 4-H when I was like probably 9, I think. It was maybe 8 or 9. It was around 99, I think. And we went to Tennessee that summer to the Smokies, so I used my mom's Pentax and I loaded up some black and white film. I'm sure it was like a C41 black and white film that she could get developed at Kroger. But I have just always liked black and white, and like when I see something that I want to take a photo of, it's almost always like I see it in black and white in my mind before I would ever imagine like the photo being in color, if that makes sense. Because of that, it seems like every couple years I kind of go through this thing where I want to spend some time trying to shoot more color just to like practice and feel like I get or try to get better at it. But I almost always default back to black and white after a little stint of messing with color, because it's just what feels natural and what feels, sometimes I think if that's what feels natural, like why force it? Why change it if that's what feels like me? You know, if people talk about like your voice and like what's authentic or whatever, I don't know, sometimes I think about that where I'm just like, why force it? It should be fun and like free, kind of flowing, you know what I mean? I don't want to try and put too much restraint or friction there, but I don't know. I also don't want to get stuck doing one thing, and I want to try and get better at other things. Hey, Matt Seal, we were just talking about you like an hour ago. I got a compliment on the Ubiquiti Wi-Fi unit. You're getting me all kinds of compliments. Yes, Luis, I used to have 3DS back in the day. I had also the 2DS. If you've never played a 2DS, like the OG Nintendo 2DS that looks like a door stopper, like a wedge shape, highly underrated. It was super cheap. It was made to be sort of like the little brother console, like the one that the little kids can use, and there's no hinge that's going to break, and you know, it's like the tough Nerf version. But the form factor, it's so comfortable. That's one of the best and most underrated handhelds out there. How do you find time to game with kids when they're asleep? That's exactly it, Alex. When I'm laying down in bed, if I'm playing with Elliot, that's one time of day to play is when I'm playing with Elliot. if I'm playing a game by myself on the Steam Deck, I'm either laying on the couch and I've got a kid laying there with me. Sometimes Elliot will be playing something on his Switch next to me while I'm playing on the Steam Deck, and we're just laying on the couch. Or Nora, my daughter, she's autistic and requires a lot of around the clock time with dad. So most of the days, or most of the time, like she wants me to be with her no matter what she's doing. So if we're in her room and she's watching Paw Patrol or Lion King or Toy Story 1 through 4, I'll be sitting there just chilling with her, and I'll just be playing a game, watching a movie with her. It's very like passive gameplay, but that's the only time I really get, so I take what I can get. But if it's like a big single player story game like The Last of Us, like those games, those I'll play on the PlayStation like at night when everyone's in bed, and I can play it like on the TV. Something proper like that I'll put on the screen and try to like really focus. But at least lately, the games I've been playing is either games I've already played before, so it's not that, I don't need to be that immersed or whatever. Or it's just pretty chill games anyway, like an old platformer or Stardew Valley, which I've put a lot of time into Stardew Valley. Actually, Session is what I've put the most time into. I never mention Session because it's like, I feel like I only talk to skateboarders about it because it's a skate like simulation game. So it's like hyper realistic. So it's very difficult when you first start. But it's gotten better and better. And the more you play it, the more you pick it up. The new EA Skate that they're coming out with, I've got mixed feelings. They Fortnited the Skate franchise for sure. It's like very Fortnite looking and free to play, gonna be jam packed with microtransactions. It looks like it's gonna feel like a fun game to play, but it's definitely not Skate 4, like Skate 1, 2, and 3. This is definitely like a total departure. So we'll see how that one goes. I'm for sure going to play it. It's free, so I'm obviously going to try it. But Session that's the game that like I'll play, just pick up and play. If it's 10 minutes here, an hour there, that game that's my shit. Yeah. Yeah, Session. Easy to play in short or long bursts. That's exactly it. It's anything that's like pick up and play like that, and it is just fully like there are challenges you can do, but it is just skateboarding. Like there is no objective, there is no story, there is no rules. It's just go and skate and do whatever you want, and like that's the whole point of it. And that's what I love about it, is that like I do love the Tony Hawk games, and I love Skate, and I love I'll try the new Skate game. There's like arcade skateboarding games like Ollie Ollie and Ollie Ollie World. Those are super fun. I'll play any skateboarding game. Elliot had one, it was like Skate Bird, I think. You play as a bird that's like on a tech deck or some shit. It's bizarre, but I played that and I was like, yeah, this is fun. I don't discriminate on the skateboarding games, but Session that's like my grail skateboarding game. It's so good. Never heard of Session. Have to check. See, that's the thing. It's a small, more like indie game. Smaller studio created it, so it's not like the Tony Hawk Pro Skater series or even EA making the new Skate game. Much smaller. But I like that about it, and it's like it's ran by it's made by skateboarders. They've got skateboarders involved in every aspect of making the game, so it feels like it should. And it is a lot smaller, under the radar game, but definitely worth checking out. It's fun. Always wanted to skateboard, but even in my youth, I was bad at ankle sports. Hey, I've never been the best skateboarder, so I feel you. It's fun, but I was always happy to stay behind the camera for the heavy shit. Hey, what's up, Rakesh? Good to see you. Alex, hearing Jason Lee's voice all through Skate 3's, reminding us, reminding us who to know to take good photos too. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I wish that's the other aspect of the new Skate game. It's like you have a little droid, I think, that like I think it's supposed to be like a VX1000 camera that's also like a robot droid or drone, maybe. I don't know. It's like a little robot kind of character that follows you around. There's no Coach Frank, played by Jason Lee, like in the old games. That was always a fun one. This is kind of random, but what do you think of the new metal Y2K type of photography? So are you asking like the photography of that era and like the new metal bands, or is this like because new metal music and like Y2K stuff in general is like the cool shit now again? It's like it's all, like everything, it always circles back. So do you mean, is there like a new kind of trend thing that you're asking about, or are you asking about like the old just look? Because if you're asking about that, I love that shit. Like so much of old new metal bands, metal, hardcore, anything that was back then that was like, I mean, if it was like a big band, and they were shot by like someone for Rolling Stone or something like that, you'd probably see it shot on like a Hasselblad, maybe with a fisheye, slide film. Like the skate culture and photography of like that time, and then like the metal or just the music in general, maybe not even just metal. New metal definitely has that, like, there's something about that, like, when I think new metal, I think like neon green and black. Like it has that like Y2K kind of feel about it. So I get what you're saying. But like all of the stuff back then in that style, the color of the photography, especially for stuff like that, like any sort of like alternative, the colors, it was always like really punchy, contrasty kind of stuff. I don't know. I think any photography that like has a distinct look due to the time, I just enjoy seeing it, I guess. You know what I mean? I don't know how else to put it, but like I enjoy being able to see photos that like have a very distinct time feeling to them. You know what I mean? Like you can tell they're of that culture in that time, if that makes sense. Is there a cheap / common lens that you have used that pleasantly surprised you? Absolutely. The Voigtlander 35 f2.5 color scope R lens. That was my very first lens that I got for my M6. You can find it used all day long for like $300, but I think brand new it's still around 400. That is a highly underrated lens. And granted, $400 is not nothing, but if you're thinking a 35 millimeter, rangefinder lens, nowadays there are more companies that are making lenses like that. 7 Artisans, TT Artisans, like they have a bunch of lenses that are very budget friendly. But a brand like Voigtlander that has been around as long as they have and as reputable as they are, I really think their lenses are a stupid good value. But aside from that, like, I mean, I don't know how much the 35 f2 AIS lens goes for on the Nikon, the F mount, but that's another one of my favorite lenses, and it's not like a lens that, the way people seek after like specific Leica lenses and pay. I have in the past paid a lot for specific 35 lenses. I'm glad I was able to because it was fun while I had them. But like most all cameras, lenses I've ever had, it's like once I've used them for a while and I've had my fun with it, I'm not married to it, you know? So I don't know. I don't keep things. I don't hang on to things if I'm not using them. And that's the other thing too. It's like I used a lot of cameras and put a lot of money into that stuff before my kids were as big as they are, before I had as many kids as I have now, and just different life expenses. You know what I mean? I don't know. Yeah, these days like I use the Z8, not a cheap camera at all, but I don't know. I lost my train of thought. There's something else I was gonna say, but I started to read and I lost my train of thought. Um, yeah, yeah, the old Nikon lenses are super good. Oh yeah, there you go. That's right, Matt. The Series E Nikon 51.8. That's another one that absolutely is a solid, very budget lens. Oh, one sec. I am. Hold on. Do I not have it? Just noticed my MacBook isn't plugged in. It's like, hey, your Mac is about to die soon. All right. I don't think I brought my. Did I really not? How did I not bring that out? Wait. This'll work, I think. Come on. Hey. It's I don't know if it's charging with this USB-C. Probably not. It's probably just gonna drain the battery slightly slower. We'll start wrapping up here. If you got any final questions, slam that shit in the chat right now. Yeah, we'll start winding down here. Viltrox 16mm f1.8 Z mount is crazy great for under 500. Jim, that is not a lens I would ever use for photography, but I actually have looked at that lens before, specifically for filming videos. Like when I'm filming myself, sometimes I've used 16 millimeters on, like if I'm not using the Osmo Pocket or the little Osmo Action, having a wide 16 millimeter for filming, and that Viltrox, because it has AF, is one I've looked at. So that is good to know. Yep. Blue Laugh said, I hardly use my Petzval lens, even though I like the look. Must be because I have the 85. It contrasts with my Holga lens for Nikon. I fully get that. I had this